Hello, members of the Waukegan Park District's Cultural Arts Advisory Committee. My name is Ty Rohr, Manager of Cultural Arts, and on behalf of the staff, we hope you, your family, and friends are well. It has been some time now since we have gathered as an advisory. And the staff and I wanted to reach out to give you some updates. As always, if you have any ideas, suggestions, or concerns, please reach out. So this, of course, has been a trying last 7 months. Prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, our programming numbers were on the rise from last year, and we are very excited to see that growth. The Waukegan Symphony Orchestra, under the baton of our new music director, Alexander Platt, had just performed a wonderful young people's family concert at the Waukegan Public Library. This concert was free and very well received. And history may have been made that morning as we performed Prokofiev Peter and the Bull with narration in both English and Spanish. We hope to continue our family concerts at the Waukegan Public Library in the future. Early in the spring, the Waukegan Park District held its annual volunteer and patron reception. This year, we gave the Jack Benny Arts and Humanities Award to Ann Darrow. Ann is a founding member of our Oakwood Cemetery Walk. Her efforts over the last 30 years for the Historical Society on Waukegan cemeteries and other subjects is invaluable for future generations. And then, right as the Waukegan Symphony was about to give another wonderful concert in mid-March, yes, everything shut down for the pandemic. Right away, we shifted what we could to virtual formats. But as the pandemic continued, we unfortunately did have to cancel some things, including the remainders of the Waukegan Symphony Orchestra and the Waukegan Concert Chorus seasons. We also had to cancel Dandelion Wine Fest and a few other things as well. With Dandelion Wine Fest, though, yes, we had to cancel the in-person festival, but we still wanted to do something, especially with 2020 being the centennial year of Ray Bradbury's birth. So, the festival went virtual. We did a live marathon reading of Bradbury's Dandelion Wine. Our many Bradbury friends and festival organizers from past and present all chipped in to read sections of the novel. Some of our artists and musicians even submitted their digital art and music to include as well. The virtual Dandelion Wine Fest turned out to be a unique offering that reached an audience from around the globe. And you know, with Bradbury, maybe people even out in the galaxy. I am proud, and I hope that you are as well, with the way that the Waukegan Park District Cultural Arts adapted to the pandemic. Up next, you will hear more on what we have been doing from both Deborah Carl and Brian Escobar.
Every year, we apply for a multidisciplinary general operating fund grant from the Illinois Arts Council, an agency of the state of Illinois. Each time we apply, we do a better job, and this year received $18,700, which is 72% of the total amount possible for each grantee. You can see in the graph the amounts we've received since 2016, and the top of the graph is the maximum amount possible, which is $25,000. This grant helps support everything we do. Arts Park this year made it to 6 parks and had 44 participants. The art project was sponsored by Sharing Our Shores. This nonprofit group is raising awareness for birds that live on the shores, specifically the piping plover. They donated individual packages of clay, and all the participants were encouraged to make birds. We have enough supplies, so we will be revisiting this project next year too. Thanks, Sharing Our Shores and Lake County Audubon. In addition to Dandelion Wine, we had another successful virtual event. We did a virtual Independence Day parade that aired on July 4th on both Facebook and YouTube. By the middle of July, it had reached more than 17,000 people and had more than 7,400 views. Community members decorated a shoebox-sized box, their float, and dropped it off. Staff then filmed each float being pulled across a background, giving it the look of an in-person parade. This event was well loved. Arts at Dark is a new initiative on the Jack Benny Center Facebook page. View this as a very unofficial arts survey course. Artwork, music, dance, and poetry are all things you might see as part of it. Generally, Saturdays are themed towards a specific song. I will pick one song and then present different versions or odd instrumentations of it. On Sundays, I have started picking a composer and doing a different piece they composed each week. During the Sports Arts at Dark week, I shared the NBA on NBC theme composed by John Tesh and linked it to him, and he liked the post. In the spring, music lessons went virtual, with about 60% of the students opting in for virtual lessons. Instructors are using a variety of platforms, and I think virtual lessons of some sort are here to stay. When speaking with the students and their parents, I tried to make it clear that lack of funds was not to be the reason for stopping lessons, and because of that, scholarships were expanded and new scholarships were awarded. Once we got the all clear to have lessons in person, most instructors were willing to return and many students followed suit. Music lesson sign-up has also gone online. You can still call us and register like you always have, but you can also register yourself, picking the instructor, instrument, and time. We are projecting that the total number of lessons taught this fiscal year will be about the same as last year, hopefully more. Dance classes have been a little slow at restarting, but we have had several adult and children's classes run. I'm working to bring on a new hip-hop instructor, and the belly dance instructor and I are talking about offering classes using a hybrid model, with some of the classes being virtual and then some being in person. Art classes kicked off with Sugar Skulls, and a great time was had by all. There were 3 classes offered, and all but one were filled to the maximum a week or more before the class. There has been interest in both watercolor and drawing, but neither have resulted in an in-person class yet. Because the Sugar Skulls formula of a family class on Saturday was so well received, it has prompted us to offer a new class option, Arts Saturdays. Starting in January, at least once a month, we will be presenting a different type of arts class on Saturday mornings for families. Some of these will have a history component, some will be music, and some might be drawing. Also, due to the interest in art classes, we are planning to roll out a new way to request a private type class. Potential students will fill out a form, putting in a request for a specific type of class, and give suggestions for what day would work for them. Staff will contact both the student and the instructors to settle details. This formalizes private lessons and allows for students to self-select their classmates if they wanted to take a group class. There are 2 special projects that I'm working on right now. I'm working with Javi, and we have invited the community to make a Waukegan-inspired Loteria game. Loteria is a bingo-style game using cards with a picture that is widely popular in Latinx families. The goal is to have people submit a small 2.5-inch by 3.5-inch piece of art that represents something in the Waukegan community or in Waukegan's history, making a Waukegan Loteria game that we will play in December. The other project is a wreath decorating contest. I'm working with the foundation to turn this into a fundraiser. Community members will decorate and return a wreath that we provide, and then auction it off. I'm still working on all the details for this one. Even though we have not been in our building much since the middle of March 2020, you can see we have done a lot. Thank you for your interest and your support.
Hello, this is Brian Escobar with the Waukegan Park District Cultural Arts Division. As many of you know, a large part of our history outreach is done in school classrooms throughout the Waukegan School District. This past school year, we presented 128 different local history programs to over 3,000 students from September to March. Due to COVID, our programs came to a halt in mid-March. At the Waukegan History Museum, we had an Abraham Lincoln pop-up exhibit, which was a huge success with many 4th grade classrooms coming to visit the museum and Lilac Cottage next door. As I will mention, we turned to virtual programming and have reached as many as 55,000 people during the pandemic. A component of the school outreach is an end-of-the-year walking tour of downtown Waukegan. Since we couldn't offer that traditional walk this year, we thought of having a virtual walk that could make up for that, but we needed to figure out a good platform for it. So instead of making a video or just a PowerPoint that could be shared with classes, we put the content together on an app, and that app was released in July. The app features various walking tours and general location information. So although it started off as specifically for the schools to use as a walking tour that we would normally do in downtown Waukegan, we have since added many new components to it. So for example, if someone is at a local park and they're interested in learning about how that park got its name, we have information on this app covering that for them. All they would have to do is click the Parks tab at the bottom, and there's a whole list of all the parks there that they would see. So there's both text and audio, with text being in both English and Spanish, and some of the audio is also in Spanish as well. We've also included photographs and integrated a scavenger hunt into the app as well. The scavenger hunt covers locations related to Ray Bradbury in Waukegan, and it was done to celebrate his 100th birthday. So at the same time that the app was being developed, during the spring and summer, we had various history-related posts coming out weekly on Facebook. One of the most popular ones was our Lunch and Learns. Prior to COVID, we were hosting the Lunch and Learns at the Jack Benny Center once a month on a Friday at noon, covering various topics related to Waukegan history. We moved these programs online and made them weekly instead. This allowed more of the public to learn about Waukegan history and give an opportunity to people who would have wanted to attend in person but could not prior to COVID, giving them a chance to learn from home. So you can see here from the image just a few of the thumbnails for just 6 of the various Lunch and Learns, and you can see many different views across the platform there. So also due to COVID, we had to close the museum to the public, and so starting in July, we had a reopening plan that's still in effect now. We have asked people to sign up for time slots online through Eventbrite to book a time to visit the museum. This allows for a limited number of visitors at once and the time in between visits to clean any high-touch things like rails or doors. And so what we did, we used the app here again. We integrated content from inside the Waukegan History Museum into the app. So normally a visitor at the museum would do a self-guided tour of each room and they could read information out of a binder, or a docent could lead them through the museum. But due to COVID, we have removed the binders from each room and instead put that content into the app so visitors can access information on the room and select artifacts on their phone. So similar to the Parks tab at the bottom, if a user clicks the Museum tab, it will list all the rooms in the museum, talk about the rooms and some artifacts in there as well. All right, and so with many events being canceled this year, our annual Oakwood Cemetery walk had to be canceled as well. And so what we did instead is we started a new online series called History Plots. These episodes focus on different aspects and topics related to Oakwood Cemetery and the people who are buried there. So we have our first episode already on the Waukegan Park District Facebook. We've recorded 2 others. Those are just being edited. But we have lots of other plans to make more history plots and keep presenting more Waukegan history virtually. And so while we are still doing virtual outreach with different schools in the Waukegan School District, a lot of our other time is now spent on planning the Waukegan Carnegie Library project, which you'll hear more about as well.
So big thanks to Deborah and Brian for all of their hard work and recapping some of the things that they've done. Of course, that's not everything. That's just a few of the highlights. Again, we're proud of what we've been doing here these last few months. Of course, none of this was planned, but we're making the best of this unique situation. Hopefully it comes to an end soon. And I wanted to end this little video for you all with a little recap of what's been going on with the historic Waukegan Carnegie Library. The Waukegan Park District just acquired the building not too long ago. We are now in the early stages of working with the architect on the schematic design. So really, this project is moving full steam ahead. We are so very excited to be expanding our history operations into the historic Carnegie Library with our partner, the Waukegan Historical Society. If you made it here to the very end, next time we see you, we'll give you a cookie. Thanks for joining us. We hope to see you soon. We hope to be able to share in the arts with you and to spread wonderful joy of the cultural arts throughout Waukegan. Take care.